and then Hardy Jr. be joining us.
Now, how old is Hardy Jr. now?
26.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, okay, he's the same age as my son then, my oldest son.
Yeah.
No. He's the same age as my third one, my daughter.
Your daughter, yeah.
Tia.
Yeah. Because I want to believe that, yeah, they were. Let's see. Oh man. Yeah, one of the years we were out at the Pro Bowl, I think they were.
I know they always played when we were at the Pro Bowl together, and I just couldn't remember what age group he was in because I know my oldest daughter, she's 30.
Yeah.
And then my oldest son, he's 28.
Hang on 1 second. What is that? Okay, thank you. All right, gotta make sure they ain't burning down the house, man, while I'm sitting here.
Right?
So, but the show must go on.
Yeah, the show must go on. Shoot, we'll have flames and everything in behind me. Shoot. Yes, sir. So is it hot today out there out in the desert, or you got a nice day going?
It's going to be a little cool today.
Okay.
But next week is supposed to start getting hot.
Uh-oh.
Next week it jumps into like the high 90s and 100.
Wow.
So what's the warmest it'll get?
Well, since I've been here, we only been here a year. It hasn't even been a year. It'd be a year June 1st.
Yeah.
So the hottest it was last year was like 105, 106, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And what I didn't know here, it's a desert. I didn't know this was altitude. We're like 3,000 feet up.
It gets cold at night, right?
It gets chillier at night. It gets windy. You have wind gust. And since it's the desert, when the wind gust kicks in, the dust is everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's the hottest it's been, and it's really dry here. And, obviously it's a desert, but the altitude even makes it even drier.
Mm-hmm.
So I drink more water this year being here than I have my whole life.
Good for you. Are you in that town called McClellan, or there's an outskirts suburbs of Vegas too?
Yeah,
right?
I live up close where most people know about Centennial Hill.
Okay.
So Centennial Hill is kind of like northwest of the downtown area, the Strip.
Okay.
So you got like Centennial Hills up there. The Strip is in the middle. Henderson's over here at the bottom, southeast. You have the Air Force Base, which is kind of almost due north, kind of northeast of the city. And they're kind of far out because they do, you see the fighter jets always flying up. And on the other side of the mountains, they do testing. So they test bombs over there. You really can't hear them, but something over there.
Wait, they're testing bombs over there?
They do. They test it on the other side of the mountain.
Is it Area 51 or what's going on over there? Wait.
Now, Area 51,
New Mexico.
It's New Mexico, but it's that, we have a place called Area 51 here, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I seen it. It was like on the outskirts of a downtown area. I don't know what's inside the building.
It's probably a club.
That must be exactly what it is.
Well, now that Trump's withdrawn from the last nuclear treaty, so I think more bombs are coming your way, I think. So.
Oh, yeah, well. Yeah. Anything, if Obama did something, he is withdrawn from anything that he has done. So.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So
he's getting the blame for everything right now.
Is Hardy Jr. around? He got 3 minutes. Is he?
Yeah, he should be signing on here in a second.
Okay.
Let's see here. I'm gonna send him a text. See what he's doing. So we might there'll probably be coaches from all different. Looks like we'll have some college coaches as well.
Okay.
So we'll have some coaches from all the different levels and stuff. So this will be good.
Yeah, but college and high school is the same thing for the most part.
Yep. Yep.
You know, college and high school, you put the best athletes on the field, you winning.
Yep. 1 second. Oh, there. Oh, that's you, Fat.
No, that's me. Sorry, man.
Buddy. Hey, Hardy. You coming on? Okay. His computer is loading right now, so. That time, isn't it? It is about that time.
Okay, I'm just gonna go off video.
Okay.
So it's 11. Should I just open it up?
Yeah, go ahead and open it up.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 10th episode of Cover 2, the webinar series. Excited today. Got a great webinar ahead of us, and can't wait to get going. We'll hold a couple minutes and let everyone file in here. We've got people coming in as we speak, so we'll give a couple minutes for everyone to sign on in, get in, and if we're in the lecture hall, Rod, we let everybody come into the lecture hall and get seated before we get started.
Right, right.
Let's do a sound check. Do we lose your audio, Hardy? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Everyone,
Hey, Hardy, Jimmy?
So I'm waiting on everyone to sign in here, and let's see, I'm trying to share my screen here, and it kind of went awry on me. So
There it goes.
okay, there we go. Good. There we go. All right. So everyone is signing on. Okay, welcome to the webinar again. There are a couple things at your fingertips that you want to be aware of. You got your microphone. Make sure you have that on. Okay, especially when we get to questions and answers. There's a Q&A. If you have a question at any point, feel free to just go ahead and type your question in. We'll get to your question, or we may, like I said, have your microphone on, because we may actually open you up so you can ask the question yourself. There is a chat, okay? In the chat area, you can chat your questions or whatever you want to chat as we go along. We have someone in the back that will follow those, and if there are questions or anything that comes up, we'll go ahead and address those as they come along. But again, welcome. We got a great episode. Got a couple panelists, of course. Hardy Nickerson Jr. He's been on the last few weeks for those who have been on with us. Most recently played for the Cincinnati Bengals. Been in the NFL for 3 years. And then we got my former teammate, friend, Hall of Famer Rod Woodson, Purdue University, then drafted by the Steelers in the first round. Then went from there to the 49ers, to the Ravens, and then finished up with the Raiders. Just the list of the accolades that Rod has accomplished in his football career. Super Bowl champs with the Baltimore Ravens. Played in 2 other Super Bowls, right, Rod? With the Steelers and also with the Raiders, right?
I did. Unfortunately, we lost.
And then 11 Pro Bowls, 6-time first team All-Pro, second team All-Pro 2 times, Defensive Player of the Year in 1993, 75th anniversary all-time team, and then the 100-year anniversary team, all-decade team in the 90s. Was a 2-time All-American at Purdue, and also a USA Today high school All-American. That's his playing career. And then of course, Rod, you've coached. Before I get to that, I actually found this in the archives. How about this, man? We're going back. I think this might have been 2000, not after the 99 season, 2000. We were at the Pro Bowl. Pulled it out of the cover 2 vault there, chopping it up after the game was over. Fun times. Coach, so Rod, tell me your coaching career. So, you've coached. Tell the viewers about your, of course we know about the playing career, the coaching career. Where have you coached? What have you coached?
Yeah, I started coaching. I got 5 kids and 2 older boys. One's 28 and one is 21. They both played football, so I always coached them in their Pop Warner Little League football. And then when we moved to California and I finished up with the Raiders, I coached at our high school at Valley Christian in Dublin. The whole time we had it there, John Perella, if you remember him, who played with the Raiders, also with the San Diego Chargers. We basically started that program up in Dublin. And then after I did that, that's when I started getting the itch to coach. And then probably around 3 years later, Al Davis called me to coach a secondary for the Raiders. And, how do you turn down Al Davis? You can't turn down the Godfather, right? So I started coaching. I started coaching with the Raiders in the NFL. Coached a total of 4 years in NFL with the Raiders. And one thing that the coaching really taught me is that, I know we played a lot of football. A lot of us who are coaching football has played football. But we all see the game a little differently, and we all have to be able to teach the game in a certain manner. Yeah. I had all this stuff in my head, Hardy, about what I knew as a player, and then I had to put it out as a coach to my guys. And the way I learned, which I've learned, since then, but the way I learned, which I see the game through formations, irrelevant of personnel groupings. I see it through formations and how they build their formations. And it's irrelevant if they got 2 tight ends or 3 receivers and 2 backs. It really doesn't matter. But as they finish up in this certain set, they run the same type of routes over and over and over. So for me, in my head, I was like, well, everybody looks at the game that way. So when I first started coaching, I coached that way. And everything all my cut-ups were only like that. And the one thing I had to do, I had to learn my learners. And that's one thing I asked my guys at the end of the year. I asked them, hey, what do I do? And he said, hey, you know what? I like to see something X, Y, Z, and then I had to start making different cut ups. So that made me kind of like broaden out my view of the game itself. And then I started realizing, each of your players are different. You got an audio guy, you got a visual learner, you got rep guys, and if you only teach one way, you don't reach all of them, and they can't be the best player for you. So that's one thing I did learn. But I got to be, everything I have in my life, Hardy, has something to do with football. I had a good career. I got a great family. I got a beautiful home. So everything that I have in my life, and I owe it back to people who coming up through the game, high school coaches, little league coaches. I feel I owe it to them to give back to everything that was given to me throughout my 17 years of playing.
Yeah. Who were the biggest influencers in terms of coaches? Who had the most influence on you?
Well, my template as a coach is more like Tony Dungy. Tony, when we first got to Pittsburgh, Hardy, together, Tony was our defense coordinator, but he was also the defensive back coach. So I spent a lot of time with Tony the first couple years. And the way he loves on guys, he was good for me. What I needed when I first came into the National Football League. He really was. And then remember, Tony left. We got John Fox, and then we got a guy named Rod Rust.
Yeah.
And Rod Rust, he was the guy, believe it or not, he was the guy to flip my switch to talk about mental to physical. Because everybody, especially when you get up to the NFL, everybody's physical. Everybody has some type of talent, some more so than others, but everybody has something. And he challenged me to be a better mental player than a physical player. And I sat with Rod Rust for about 4 weeks in his office, and he was teaching me. Honestly, he was the one that kind of got me into the mode of the formations. Only 5 formations that an offense can get into: pro, slot, 2x2, 3x1, or empty. Those are the 5 formations. Now they use different personnel groupings, and then they disguise different things that they're going to do on a daily basis and a weekly basis. But he's the one that showed me that. So he was a huge influence on me, and he's what I needed at that time. And then those guys left, and then Dick LeBeau, Dom Capers, and Bill Cowher came in. Yeah. And Bill was great, but we spent, Dom was our defense coordinator. But Dick was an ex-player. Dick played 13 years in the National Football League. He has 62 interceptions. Played with Night Train Lane and Lynn Barney up there in Detroit. But Dick was a really good player for me at the same time, because now I'm becoming like a middle of the road vet. I was in 5 years, and he let me be me. So I in my 10 years of being in Pittsburgh, I got so much outside of that. Obviously Chuck Noll was there. Mean Joe Green was there. The culture was already set for us to come into it and kind of thrive. I mean, we weren't that good the first year or so. we were getting our lumps, but I think we had some really good coaches in the 10 years I was there in Pittsburgh. So most of those coaches are the biggest influences in my career.
Yeah, that's interesting about because with Rod Rust, he I saw him the same way. He challenged the mental part. He would always come to me about, okay, in terms of the run game, backfield sets and what you could get out of each backfield set. And all of a sudden, as opposed to just locked in and just looking at one little piece, the whole picture starts opening up, Yeah.
And as a player, when the green light clicks on, the game slows down for guys, and you play at your best, because hesitation kills you. Especially on defense, hesitation will kill you, and so you can't hesitate. So he took all those doubts. At least for me, he helped me take all those doubts out of my head, so I can just go play football.
So there are a lot of youth and high school coaches out there. What advice would you give them in terms of coaching that can get have the players understand that and bring them along just like that, you know?
Right. So this is my 10 points of leadership.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this is for the guys. So as a coach, it's your responsibility to eliminate all excuses for failure. Now, when you're a Pop Warner coach, I'm telling you, don't be like that. You know, that's a disclaimer. Don't be that guy where your kid can't have fun. Because my Pop Warner coach, I really enjoyed. We are great friends. His name is Dave Rohde. He made the game fun for me, so I wanted to continue to play the game.
Yeah.
He didn't push me so hard where I didn't like it anymore. But, you know, once you start getting to high school and to college, you know, you got to eliminate all excuses for failure. That's number one. Number two is lead by example from the front. Take your performance personally. And if you as a coach is proud to be average, your players are going to be proud to be average. So, you know, be proud and take your performance personally. Instill competitive greatness. This is number three. Instill competitive greatness. Perform at your best when your best is required. And your best is required every day. So that's number three. Number four, will give energy and not be an oxygen thief. Because everybody wants to talk. You don't want to hear anybody else. But I think the best coaches that I've ever seen always ask for advice. If you're the smartest person in the room, you got issues. You know, so that's number four. Number five is give confidence. The strongest steel is well-founded. Self-belief is earned and is not given. Number six, I always say, have the utmost concern for what is right rather than who is right. You know, we get in, you know, we you know, as coaches, it's a testosterone-driven kind of sport, especially as you get older. And sometimes we always want to be right, even though another coach might have a really good idea, because we all see the game differently. Everybody that's on this call, on this webinar right now, we can all watch the same game, see a play, and see something different out of that play. So, you know, just make sure that your guys have a voice. Number seven is always embrace all obstacles and challenges that will come your way, because it's going to happen. You know, in every season, every team, I don't care if you're a little league, I don't care if you're high school, I don't care if you're college, you're going to have some type of issue. Number eight, foster self-discipline, toughness, resolve. These three traits will allow all your players to be a winning team. That's number eight. Number nine, to encourage your players to see the greatness that's in each and every one of them. Because each player has to believe in himself. If he doesn't believe in the guy in the mirror, then he's not going to be the best him he can be each day. And then the last one is create an environment where the fundamentals, preparation, attention to details, and willingness to sacrifice is a daily requirement. So those are my 10 points of leadership. And anytime that I'm coaching, I make sure in my head that I always try to follow these to give my guys a place that they know that they have a voice. If they can come to me. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I can keep learning. But it gave me a foundation of where I should go with it.
That's gold.
That is gold. Those are nuggets right there that you know, they ring so true, you know. For coaches, especially young coaches, to have those set of nuggets right there is invaluable, because now you start seeing things from a 360-degree view as opposed to just that single point of view, which is huge. And then, so in teaching players, Rod, what do you think is, you mentioned getting to know the players, knowing well, we talked about knowing or understanding that each player has different learning styles. When you're teaching a group of young athletes, what do you think is the most effective way to reach them all?
Well, I told you I started out by saying, when you asked me about who was one of the biggest influences, and I started with Tony Dungy.
Yeah.
I just think I know the old school mentality
Yeah.
of coaching. I do, because my high school coach cussed me out. I quit high school football in my 10th grade year because he cussed me out over and over and over. And I walked off the field. I was like, man, my daddy don't talk to me like that. I'm out. And my track coach brought me back. And then the one thing I've learned when I was with Tony is that Tony can be on you. He's going to give you all the tools. And that's what coaches are. We coaches to give the players the tools to succeed on the field and in life.
Yeah.
But also it's the player's responsibility to have the recall of those tools and apply them on the practice field and the playing surface every single day. But Tony was that guy for me. And I would always, for me, I didn't cuss. I didn't raise my voice. It wasn't real popular with the coaches that I was coaching with the Raiders. Some was okay with it. Some were not, because they thought I wasn't reaching my guys. But I told, my guys knew I was real. And I told my guys, hey, man, if you don't, I'm asking you to do something. And if we say to do certain things, if you don't do them, then you don't play. So I just believe in encouraging guys to find the best each and every day, that they'll run through a brick wall for you if you show that you love them past the helmet.
Absolutely. Yeah. Coach, at the NFL level, I had this saying that you coach the man. Don't just coach the player, coach the man. And so you're coaching the kid at the youth level and the high school level. You're coaching the kid, not just the player.
Right, because there's certain kids who can take that. You can put your thumb on them a little bit and pressure them. Might say some harsh words, who could take it. There's certain kids who are on the bubble already, and then once you get there, they can't take that, and then they don't thrive in that environment. And I think, it's like your kids, I have 5 kids, and each one of my kids, I cannot speak to each one of my kids the same way.
Right.
Each one of my kids I have to talk to differently because each one of them are different individuals. So I had to learn who they were as they grew up. And then I started realizing, okay, if I say this to this one, he gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
But then if I say this to the other one, they're fine with it. So, I think it's the same way as a coach. You really have to learn who they are. I don't have a problem with putting the responsibility on them, because it is their responsibility to understand the game, especially as they get older. But for coaches, I think you're right. You coach the player. You don't coach you don't coach this the helmet.
Yes, absolutely. Good stuff, man. I know we had a couple questions. It looked like we had a couple chats about wanted to know if they could if you guys want to go back after we're done, if you want to go back to this is for the viewers, if you want to go back and rewatch, you can always go on demand and watch again and hear the coaching points again, because those are nuggets, as young Hardy would say.
We could put them in we'll put them in an email. This is Val. We'll put them in an email and send it out as well. So we'll just type it up. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I have this clip that we talked about. Is my microphone on?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I have this clip, and Rod, we were talking about this play a couple yesterday, and so when we're talking about coaching, part of it, coaching, not just coaching the helmet, but coaching the player and showing genuine care for that player. As we get into game planning, we mentioned yesterday with Coach LeBeau and prior to this game against the Buffalo Bills or Steelers, at that time the Buffalo Bills were running things in the AFC, right? They'd gone a couple straight Super Bowls. I know that my years there, when we were there, we had trouble with them. And then, man, this game seemed to be the game put put the Steelers, put the defense, put it over the top. You know, put them above that level where we kind of battling with the Bills, but then all of a sudden gained that edge. But it was gained probably in the. Can you go into the story? You know, because this play was made probably about 3 days earlier or 4 days earlier as you're sitting watching film and game planning with the coaches.
Yeah, I mean that, when like I told you before, I was a formation driven guy,
Yeah.
player. And anytime an offense will run a play more than 4, 5 times, it's on my radar.
Yeah.
And, I knew every time that Jim Kelly, I can't remember exactly what the formation they were in. I know it's because that's a 2x2 set. No, it's a 3x1 set.
3x1.
I can't see where Thurman's at. But anytime they were in that 3x1 set and they would run what we call that little waggle pass where the quarterback takes like 3 steps out, the receiver, outside receiver, whoever it might be, was always running a hitch.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, man, they're getting this 3x1. He runs that little waggle. They better not hitch. And they sure hitch. And I mean, it's just, and for me, I always tell players all the time when you see those formations that reoccur throughout previous games, yes, they can run something else, but you have to have the wherewithal to say, you know what, I am willing to take this calculated risk, to put my foot in the ground and go get the ball. And that's what I did. I put my foot in the ground and he threw it and it hit me right in the chest. Then as a DB or as a defender, you got to catch the ones that come to you.
Yeah.
As Tony Dungy always say, you catch the ones that come to you, you lead the lead.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to do. So I caught that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the clip.
Yeah, that was Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Was it 90? What were you? 94?
94.
94, and we smoked them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And we smoked them pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just like the previous years that we beat them. Sometimes in the regular season, they would beat us in the postseason.
Yeah.
But that was the year, as you said, we finally overcame our demons, and finally beat that team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. With a play that was made by film study, being prepared, knowing exactly what you're going to get if this scenario comes up, and then taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah, and it's players' responsibilities to have that recall in the game, because it all happens within the first 5 seconds. So I kind of, as I played, I always played kind of with the WWW in my head. Okay, what are we in? What's our defense?
Yeah.
I try to always get out of the huddle fast so I can see them dispersing.
Yeah.
Then what are they in? What personnel groupings, what formation are they in? And then what do I need to do to succeed in this down? This all happened within 10 seconds?
Yeah.
All this is going on 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally like to see the guys come out of the huddle, you see where they're going, so my mind has time to process it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the more we can process it, the better we get to play. And for me, I always had the I can say the courage to put my foot in the ground, because a lot of guys see it, and then they go, "Oh man, I didn't go."
Yeah.
I'm like, why didn't you go? You saw it, and they're like, I know, but I didn't trust it. And I'm like, see, and that's the point. That's where I think that separates the players, even high school players, that they see it, and then they just don't go.
Yeah.
And I think you got to trust your film study. You got to trust your coaches giving you the tools. But then it's your responsibility as a player to have that recall in that little 10-second window during the game.
Yeah.
Right. Was it certain coverages where you knew you could take calculated risks more so than other coverages, or was it just, I see this formation, I know they're going to run this route, whatever coverage it is, I know it's going to happen?
Yeah, as a disclaimer, I would do some stupid things out there, but we play our secondary. We were together for quite a while.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, back then, so when that happened, Carnell was there, Darren Perry was there. So we had some players that we played several years together. So anytime I felt that I knew something was going to happen, I would look to Darren, who was our free safety, and just kind of nod at him like, I need you to lean my way, because if they run any short route, I'm jumping this thing. So it was kind of a trust factor between you and your teammates. And I think the more you know your teammates, the more you're closer to your teammates, the better you guys can play together, because you all play collectively anyway. Everybody has to play within one. The defense, even though be it man-to-man, you have individual players, but you still got to play together. The zones, you still move together in your zones, so everybody plays together. And I think the more you get to know each other, the better you play. It's kind of the same way I was in high school. Our high school team, we were together from our freshman year all the way to our senior year. We had 4. We were really good. Unfortunately, we didn't win any state championship, but we lost in state one year. And then the following year, we lost in semi-state. But it was the same mindset, even in high school, that we were always together. We were always around each other. We always worked out together. And that mindset even went from my, Fort Wayne Snyder High School to Purdue. We did the exact same thing, even though we were not good at Purdue at all, outside of one year. Then to the pros.
So it's probably I'm not saying probably, it's the repetition, it's the working, it's the working together, it's that understanding, it's that bond that you build with your teammates that help you in those situations, in terms of, hey, I can trust you that you're going to have my back if this play occurs. Or
right. Now, absolutely. Now you got to have the communication, the pre-snap communication.
Yeah.
And then once the play starts, you got to trust that your guy, once you guys communicate that if you say you're going to do something or you see something within the framework of that down, that you're going to do your job and he's going to do his job. I mean, it's a trust factor. Yes, it's communication. Absolutely. It is repetition from practice, because it's one thing I believe in practice. I think you should practice hard. You should practice with a purpose. You should not brother-in-law in practice. Don't let your boy tell you, hey, today, man, I don't feel like it. I ain't going hard today, so don't go hard. You can't be the best you can be, because each kid is trying to play his best, and then when he starts brother-in-law, you're taken away from the team. So yes, you do have to work together. You do have the repetition, but it's the pre-snap communication, and then the communication after the ball snaps. Excuse me.
Yeah. That's the great point is not brother-in-law, because in practice, that's where iron sharpens iron.
Right.
That's I'm going hard to give you a great look so that when you get in the game, hey, it should be easy because of how hard I'm gonna work you in practice, in terms of player working against player. That's a great point. Let's see here. Game plan. We talked about game planning offenses. One fact that being around the football, Rod. I mean, throughout your career, you set an NFL record with interception returns for touchdowns. Man, the interceptions in your career, 71. Man. 7 over that with the playoffs. That's regular season games. Man, what helped you? What do you think is the thing that helped you the most in terms of getting in position to make those plays?
Well, I believe one thing when you're playing the back end, and I always say this, the back end is the hardest end, because the defensive line, if they make a mistake, they got the linebackers in the secondary to cover up for them. Right.
Yeah.
If the linebackers make a mistake, they got the secondary to cover up for them at times.
Yeah.
Secondary make a mistake, it's a touchdown. Ain't nobody helping them. It's
Mhm.
nobody but the goalpost.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing with playing on the back end is always no posts, no seams, no goes. Always, always, always play upfield shoulder. That
Yeah.
means, so if the receiver, I'm the right corner, the receiver releases outside toward the sideline, I'm going to try to be closer to the upfield shoulder. The shoulder is closest to the sideline
Yeah.
instead of the low hip. The low hip was the old school way of playing man-to-man. But, quarterbacks nowadays can just throw the ball to the, fade to the sideline to the upfield shoulder, and it's a catch.
Yeah.
So my always play upfield shoulder, always play upfield down.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when a baseball batter, and I never played baseball, I'm not that good, but a batter, I got some buddies who play baseball. When they can really recognize or sees the ball coming out of the hand of the pitcher, he has a better opportunity to hit the ball.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as a DB or linebacker or whoever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
When he sees the ball released without not turning his head, the ball's already there. When he sees it released and he's coming downhill, now he has a better, especially if he's coming down, he's taking an angle going to the upfield shoulder. Now it's a bad throw. It's inside. Well, it comes right to you. That's a pick. And if you're on the sideline, that's a pick six.
Yeah.
So my mindset was always upfield shoulder down to make the offense work.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're talking man coverage there, right?
Well, man coverage or zone coverage. Zone coverage, you got to be the deep as anyway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We spent a lot of time talking, of course, cover two, especially the last 5 to 6 episodes, and the last 3 or 4, we've talked a lot about the passing game as a cover two half-field safety. Let's start with the alignment. How deep would you play as a half-field safety?
Well, I would at least be, and it really depends on the split of the receiver.
Yeah.
So let's start there, because if it's say everybody's playing mostly spread offenses nowadays, even high school. So say it's a trip formation to the other side. I'm the free safety. The X receiver has reduced split. Well, I don't need to be 15 yards deep.
Uh-huh.
Like I would normally need to be. I could be about 12, like I could be kind of look like cover 4. And you can do a lot of things on the backside, but a true cover 2 is that, you don't have to be that 15. I would say about 12, but then on the front side where I got trips, I need to be getting out about 15. Because when they get to 10, when the receivers get to 10 yards down the field, the safety needs to at least be at 22 yards to be able to have range to get to either to outside seam or go route to the inside seam. He needs that space to get there. Mm-hmm. If he's too shallow, he's going to get caught. And then that's when the ball starts going over their heads, and you could probably make the tackle, but you can't make a breakup on the ball. Mm-hmm. And you can't outrun the ball. So I think, when you start talking about cover 2, the depth of the safeties, it really depends on the receivers. I would say if it's a 2x2 set, everything is normal, I would be at least a minimum of 15. Some coaches go a little bit further. Some go, 15 to 16, 17.
Yeah.
And it really depends on how athletic your safeties are.
Right.
I know sometimes we want certain guys to do certain things. Some guy who he's a really good safety, has a really good feel, he's speed deficient. Well, he might need to be a little bit deeper. Yeah. For himself. So I think you got to get a feel for what your players are. But I think to make a rule of thumb, if everything is equal, 15 yards.
15 yards. And then from that 15 yards, ball snapped, where are your eyes as a safety?
Always go to one.
Always go to one.
You got to go to one. You got to see where one's going.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go to one. You're not a part of the run front. That's the one kind of downside of the cover two, because you can get overmanned in the running game.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of times in cover two, you kind of run some type of stunts up front to eat some gaps up and try to spill that ball out of the corners.
Yeah.
Or your outside back or whoever's, you know, closer to the ball.
Yeah.
But you know, I think they got to get their eyes to one. That's guaranteed. They got to see where one is at.
Yeah.
And then, you know, for each, it's kind of hard to give a landmark because, you know, I'm so stuck into the NFL world, and I would say 1 yard inside the number,
Yeah.
but that's different in high school. So, you know, as long as you're about, he has to split the difference between 1 and 2 for
Mm-hmm.
that safety.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in a if we're talking NFL world, in a perfect game, he would be 1 yard inside the numbers. But if it had a reduced split receiver,
Right.
he was the X receiver. Well, now I can't be 1 yard inside the number. I got to be inside of one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the rules do kind of change and flow with the formations at times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now the next thing, as a safety starts his drop, as he starting to drop, what tempo are you going? Full speed? Are you there are different trains of thought. One train of thought is to start out with a slow shuffle and then speed that drop up as the down progresses. The other train of thought is to get you open like you're headed to your landmark, and boy, you're busting it to get that depth right now.
Well, yeah, I'm a person that believe in a tempo pedal.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're at 15, you're 15 yards away from them already.
Yeah.
You know, and then if I tempo pedal, and I told you the one rule of thumb is that when he gets to 10, I need to be at 22.
Yeah.
So if I'm at 15 and I'm tempo, well, and if my guys are rerouting and doing their jobs up front, talking about the corners,
Yeah.
where I'm going to be at 22 in my tempo pedal when they're at 10. The ball's going to be released. The ball's not going to be thrown. It's, you know, I think a lot of times, I think even in high school, the ball's thrown 25 on a deep ball, 25 to 30 yards when their receivers down the field. Really before that, but just to say worst case scenario. So I think the tempo pedal is the best pedal because now you can get in and out of your breaks. Sometimes you can play in sluggish and muddy terrain, especially late in the year, and you'll always have good feet. And then you're never putting pressure on yourself to get so fast out of there that you can't put your foot back in the ground and make a play on a bad throw.
Yeah. Okay. So ball snap, tempo pedal, eyes to one, then eyes back to the cue. What tells the safety when to break? I mean, there's some train of thought. Soon as he takes a hand off the ball or
Long arm
on the throw, you know, what if you're coaching a high school safety, what are you telling them to break?
Yeah, a lot of people always say the long arm. That's like when he's getting ready to throw the ball.
Yeah.
You're normally not going to beat the ball to air. I'm going to let you know that now. But I think one of the rule of thumbs is that it is the long arm, to be honest. I'm making fun of it, but that's kind of the rule of thumb to teach guys is that once that hand comes off the ball, and he starts to throw, that shoulder goes up to show the trajectory of the ball, you got to go. If you wait for the ball to be released, you're not going to get there. You know, not unless Usain Bolt or somebody like that, but you're not going to get there.
Usain Bolt. That's awesome. Okay. Let's change gears a little bit. Cornerback. For the viewers out there, I might have passed over this, but little known, you probably wouldn't know this, but Rod has been corner, played in the slot, as like nickel, right? Right, Ryan?
Nickel, played nickel.
Strong safety, free safety. So he's played every position in pretty much in the defensive backfield. Am I
No,
correct in saying that?
no, you're right. Heck, Hardy, I don't even know if you remember when we first got there, they had a Charger package where I came in for David Little, and I was playing like the sub linebacker at
What's up,
bro. I think we were playing. I can't remember who we were playing. It was one of the back then it was the AFC Central. So it's
Yeah.
either the Browns or the either Browns or the Bengals.
It was a Bengals.
every
I
time-
remember it vividly. Yeah.
And every time they saw me come in, they would check, ran an ISO right at me. And then they saw David. They seen David come back in. They check to a pass. I'm like, man, just quit putting me in there, man, getting me hurt up in there. So I played. Yes, I played all those positions, and it was shortly lived. But I did play backer for a couple games.
For a couple days. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. So linebacker in every position in defensive backfield. Okay. Cornerback play. Cornerback play. Let's start with this piece kind of just it just drives me crazy. It drove me crazy. You know, when you look out and you see a corner aligned in cover two, how should a corner be aligned? I mean, even down to right. How is feet feet placement? Stance. What should the stance look like?
Well, if I'm the rule of thumb for corners is that if you're a right corner, your right foot should be slightly in front of your left foot, so you can kind of see inside. If you're a left corner, your left foot's up, your right foot's back.
Yeah.
And I know for us, remember,
so,
I don't know if you remember.
Hang on right there, Rod. So should the toe be flat foot or balanced stance?
No, I'm flat footed. You're covered too.
Yeah,
I'm
just saying because you look at a lot of players out there, and they may have that. You lined up. Like,
oh yeah, they got the toe up like that, and like they getting ready, like they in a track meet. Like where you going, bro? Like you can't go nowhere. Like you uncovered too. You don't have D.
Yeah.
So it's be athletic.
Yeah.
Be athletic. You're not athletic when you got your toes in the air. That's a ballerina stance.
Mm-hmm.
We don't play ballet on football, but it's flat-footed. And then to say, is it 6 inches? Is it 3 inches? Let the guys figure that out. Let him be comfortable where his stance. You want your right foot up. As a coach, you want the left foot back. Let him figure it out. Certain guys might be comfortable at 3, 4, 5. I'm not really sure. But when I first just talk about my stances with players, I let them line up and tell them what I want, and then I let them figure it out. Now, if their feet are way too wide, I'll tell them, hey, man, you got to bring your feet under your shoulders, be more athletic.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say let the players figure that portion out, if it's, how much distance it is between each other. But, if you're in cover two, as soon as the ball is snapped, your eyes get the one.
Yeah.
They got to get the one. You got to get your hands on one to reroute him because in the perfect scenario, you want to reroute him inside because you got an outside shade as a corner, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you want to reroute him inside, but as soon as you get your hands on number one, you got to get your eyes back to number two.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And let me kind of go back, because you're also a part of the run, right? You're also a part of the run. The rule of thumb is always to see the in-man line of scrimmage in cover two. Mm-hmm. But the in-man line of scrimmage, if it's a tight end, he can lie to you.
Yeah.
Because he can block release.
Yes. Yes.
He can give shove and then release to the flat.
Yeah.
He can give a shove, then do a little crossing route. They can do that, so he can kind of lie at times. So the really good players can kind of see the uncovered lineman at times, and if he has a high hat, it's pass. If he kind of shoots out and comes off the ball, You know he can't be 2 yards down the field anyway. As a player, you should know the rules.
Yeah.
And that's more likely a run. So it could help you. But for a corner's main purpose is to get his hands on one, look at two.
Yeah.
And in a run, he got to rally to the run.
Yeah.
And you prefer to have him rerouted inside, and then you 45-degree back out to take away that 7 cut.
That's good stuff.
Hey, Hardy?
Now, Hardy,
Yeah.
were you gonna say something?
Yeah, no, this is, sorry, were you saying something, Hardy? Hardy?
No, I thought I might have heard you in the.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's a raised hand and then there's a number of questions.
Yeah,
Should we
let's-
allow the raised hand question while you look over the written questions and see which ones you want to
Okay.
get to? So I could, you see the raised hand by Coach Sarcida?
Let's see here. Can you mind activating him for me, Kyle?
Sure. Go ahead, Coach Sarcida, are you there?
Coach.
You're muted. Let me unmute you. See, okay, unmute. Nope. Okay, Coach Sarcida, you have to unmute yourself if you want to say something. Okay, I'll just leave him open when he comes back. Do you want to skim through the couple other questions that are in the Q&A?
Yeah.
I got a question. Rod, that thinking of all the best defenses, you know, I know you've been on a lot of them, but just one that comes to my mind is that 2000s Ravens. Can you sort of just talk to us about, you know, the mindset, the coaches, what made y'all so great?
Well, it was a process. You know, we were lucky. Hardy and I were lucky to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers organization who, you know, had a culture inside the building already with Chuck Noll and Joe Green. Joe Green was our defensive line coach. So we still had, and, you know, Mel Blunt and all those guys still came back into the building all the time. So we had a culture to go to. When I got to Baltimore, there was no culture. They were trying to figure it out. Remember, they just moved 2 years before that from Cleveland to Baltimore. Yeah. They drafted Ray and Jonathan Ogden in the first round 2 years before that. So when I got there, it was Ray's third year. So Ray was really still a baby at playing football in the National Football League, but there was no culture in there. So what I did, because Marvin Lewis was there, so Marvin understood our culture in Pittsburgh because he started his time in Pittsburgh as a linebacker coach in '92 with us. So what we did in Baltimore is kind of really put that same culture we had in Pittsburgh, players taking ownership, having our player-only meetings on Fridays, getting closer together off the field, you know, throughout, you know, the year. And then from the first year, we were 6-10. The second year, we were 8-8, and in the third year, it clicked. And each year we kept honing in on doing what's right. Do the right thing. That's kind of our mindset. Do the right thing. Every play, every day, every down. Is it hard? Yeah. Is it wearing? Yes. But it's going to pay off. And it paid off for us. And I mean, it paid off. Unfortunately, we didn't win a Super Bowl in Pittsburgh, but we had that same mindset. And then we took that to Baltimore. And honestly, I can say that, you know, because I knew Marvin when Marvin first came from Pitt to Pittsburgh. Marvin turned into a great defensive coordinator, had some great game plans, and we just bought into it. And we made those plays come to life, you know. And, you know, sometimes we did things that probably was out of the course of the play, but we made plays. And Marvin allowed us to make plays as players. And, I mean, arguably, that was probably the best defense, or could be the best defense ever in the National Football League, because we shattered the Chicago Bears 86 scoring record by 23 points allowed. So, I mean, that's going to never be broken. At least I don't think, especially the way the offenses are open up nowadays.
Yeah. There's a question. What is the hardest part about being a leader? When you're part of a team, what's the hardest part?
being
I think
fair.
I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, Rod.
I think being fair,
Yeah.
being a leader, I think it's being fair. Because you want to, you know, I know as you play, there's, you know, Bill Belichick has a saying that, you know, everybody's the same. Well, most teams are not like that. There's a hierarchy in most organizations, most businesses.
Yeah.
The guy who performs kind of gets a little bit more leeway. But I would think as a leader, to be fair to players, to a person, when he does well, you give him love.
Yes.
And then when he needs pushing, you're like, yo, man, you ain't doing your job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but, you know, that leadership, not just from the coaches, but that got to come from the players.
Yeah.
When the players take the leadership in the locker room, that's when you start seeing really good teams.
Mm-hmm. Yes. 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 When the players, and that's part of every guy doing the right thing, right?
Right.
Doing the right thing on the field, doing the right things in the locker room, doing the right things off the field.
Just
Shoot,
like-
you got a chance when you do that, right?
I mean, you definitely have a chance because, you know, now you're putting yourself to be the best you can be every day.
Yeah.
You know, as all players who play a sport, your lab's a practice field because you always practice more than you play, especially in football.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's only, you know, in the pro football, there's only 16 games. And in college football, there's 12 games. That's it. Other than that, you practice all the time.
Yes.
So practice is where you make yourself better at whatever you do, whatever position you're at. And when you take that ownership in practice, you know, it's not only in practice, but it's, you know, are you going to class? You getting your studies? Yo, man, you gotta quit doing that, man. You know you got to get your grades. We need you on the field.
Yeah.
You got to encourage your guys.
Yeah.
And that's the tough part because everybody wants to be liked. And sometimes being liked is always telling the truth, and the truth doesn't always feel good. You know, sometimes the truth does kind of hurt.
Yeah.
But when you're a real friend is very, very honest and very transparent with his buddies.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Rob, from the corner, what made you unique as a corner, I think, was your ability to tackle. What was your philosophy or your mindset when it came to tackling as a corner? Talk about it from a corner first, and then as a safety.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I was born and raised in Indiana, man. We used to play tackle football in the snow in the winter in front of my house. I was the youngest of three boys, so I used to get like plowed into the field, just like head first, like you know. I get the little plastic helmet, you know, with the one little bar across it. I'm trying to get the stuff out of the snow out of my face, but it made me tough. I was just a blue collar guy. Then, you know, when I got to Pittsburgh with Chuck Noll,
yeah,
Chuck Noll was very transparent. He's like, hey, if you don't tackle, you ain't playing. I was like, well, you don't got to worry about that one, coach. I got you. I'm going to tackle. You know, and it's really I think it's a mindset. You know, the one thing that we always taught, I think for most defensive players playing in space today is that you can never stop your feet.
Never stop.
You stop your feet, man, you done. They got you.
Yeah.
You know, the receivers, running backs, whoever got the ball carrier, once he touches that football and he starts dancing, keep going. Because your boys are coming. The cavalry's coming. But once you stop your feet, well, he's waiting for you to dive. You know, and the one thing I know for us in Pittsburgh is that we knew that just take your shot. Keep eating the grass up. That's what we called it. Eat that grass up as he's, you know, dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Take that shot. Wherever leverage you might have, take that shot, and your boys are coming to take your back. And once you take the shot, he's gonna try to make you miss, and then now he gets hit. Yeah. So, you know, always a mindset, but always eat that grass. That helps tackling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Key point, I think, for the young coaches out there, and for all coaches out there, and the players is taking that shot to your leverage side. you take a shot to the left side, then you know somebody's gonna be showing up. What about from the safety position though, Rod?
It's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different because the corners is kind of that side view, of tackling. You always have an angle.
Yeah.
Very rare you kind of get head up with a guy, unless there's a receiver catching a little, hitch and he's right in front of you. But normally it's always a side view.
Yeah.
To tell a story real quick, Hardy. So, I'm in Baltimore when I moved back. So I played safety my whole life. I moved to corner when I get to the NFL. After my 12 years, I moved back to safety when I get to Baltimore.
Yeah.
And my first year, we're playing, I think we're playing Green Bay. And I can't remember who the running back was, but man, he hit me and my helmet went down. And it was it was preseason, excuse me. We were playing the Atlanta Falcons preseason. And this little scar right here, cut open, it's running down my face, blood. I looked at Ray Lewis. I looked at Ray. I said, yo, man, I don't know about this safety stuff. I don't know about the safety stuff. You got to bring the wood into safety. But I think, what I had to learn is that you can get head up if you're not paying attention.
Yes. Yeah.
But the one thing I started realizing is that, okay, the running back is going to the right side of the offense. Our left side is the defense. If I banana and come in, I got my spot. Now I'm still side angle tackle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have the same mindset. Just keep eating that grass up till I make my tackle, take my shot to where everybody else is still, maintaining their course to the ball. So I think the biggest thing was a mindset of the tackling angles for the safety to the corner, but not allowing myself to get head up at safety. Because once you get head up at safety, that's a hard tackle because now he has a two-way go.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure if he pops through the center of the line just like that, you're going to have to take that right shoulder or left shoulder. You can't go straight down the middle sometimes.
Yeah. 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 And what about leverage from the safety position? I know if you're playing as a single high safety, you kind of got to work. You're working more inside out to the ball, correct?
You are. You always work. Yeah, safety. If you're single high safety or inside out to the ball.
If you're half field safety, how do you?
You're going to be. Unless the ball pops to the outside, which you shouldn't, because your corners are out there to bring the ball back inside.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You're normally going to be outside in.
Outside in. Yes.
So. You got to hope that the corners do their job. You do your job because you normally, say it's a reduced split by the X. Yeah. Well, now the safety becomes kind of like that alley player.
Yeah.
The corner, he's going to set the edge, and that safety can come down and be a late alley player. So I think the safety mentality is a little different just with the fact that you can at times get to be in a place where it could get kind of head up where you got to make that decision to be an outside in or inside out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's awesome. Guys, we're at 12 noon. We've been on for an hour. We're going to go up maybe a couple more minutes here. And then, so if you have to leave, just catch it on the on-demand portion. But we're having a ball here. Ryan, you good with a couple more minutes?
Oh man, I thought we were only on for like a half hour. Time flies when you're having fun, Hardy.
Like it's been a half hour, man. It's been an hour. Shoot, I got a couple more things I wanted to get your opinion on, Rod. And I'm a firm believer in you. You were probably the player that spearheaded this thought of when you finish, man, as a defense, you want to finish with, man, taking the ball away and scoring. What was your mentality when you were closing on the ball or closing a ball carrier? What things do you think you did that heightened that awareness?
Man, honestly, I would always try to be, because listen, it's 11 on 11.
Yeah.
The bear trying to get you and you trying to get the bear,
Yeah.
right? I don't want the bear to get me because it don't feel too good when the bear gets you. I mean, I've been, I remember we played the Jets one year and I was the right corner and I wasn't paying attention. They blocked down, pull, and that big old guard was sitting right in my face, picked me up, grabbed, this is back in the day where they could do all this stuff, picked me up and just power drove me into the ground, knocked all the wind out of me. It was like my third year. I was like, man, you need to pay attention out here. Like they're trying to get you. But that's, and that's the mindset in the game is not to hurt people, but to oppose your will. Because it's a physical game, to oppose your will on them, and for me, I was always trying to be the one to say, okay, I don't want their will imposed on me. I'm going to try to impose my will on them.
Yeah.
And be it in tackling, be it in the ball in the air and interceptions, be it trying to come in and force a fumble and getting the ball back for your offense on a short field, whatever it might be. But I would try to do that always in practice. We always had our little pursuit drills and with the Steelers. We did the same thing in high school. We did the same thing at Purdue. We weren't that good, but we did it anyway. And then we did the same thing when I got to Pittsburgh. And then, every year at every other place I went to, we kind of always had that same type of drill where we had that pursuit drill. And it kind of, that's that mindset that you always going to make your mind stronger than your body. So your mind can always overcome when you're tired.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to be that guy to just, when the ball's in the air, that should be the defense ball.
Yeah.
When that ball's in the air, that's your ball. You have the same opportunity to intercept that ball, just like the receiver has the same opportunity to catch that ball. He throws it to the receiver. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It's our job is to get the ball back. So my mindset was always try to get that ball back. Interception, PBU, tackle if they catch it. In that order. I was always trying to be overly aggressive, which I think is a good trait to have playing defense.
That's great stuff. Man, Rod, it's been great, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure the the coaches out there that have been on have gotten some great nuggets, man. It's been great. Anytime
we got to do it again, Hardy.
Yeah, we got to do this again for sure.
We got to do it again. Hardy Jr., we got to do it again, little Hardy.
Definitely. Absolutely. Well, man, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you.
Man, you're my guy, man. You're my guy, man. We came in together, so anything you need from me, man, hit me up. Yeah. Love doing it. I love talking ball.
Yeah, awesome.
I know a little bit about a lot, but I know a lot about football. I mean, God has blessed me being around, not just because I'm being arrogant, but I'm just saying I had a lot of great coaches to pour into me over my 17 years of playing. I never thought I knew everything. I learned a lot even when I coached. Some of the players taught me some things like, oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
And I never thought about doing that before. So, I'm always open to learn. I think as you keep learning, you keep growing. So, anything I can help you with, brother, just let me know.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Awesome. That being said, we're going to conclude here. Coaches out there, if you want a clinic, you can hit me up on my website, www.cover2.guru. For drill work for you young linebackers out there, you can go to Elite Athletes TV, find some drill work. Anything else, if you want to DM me or message me, you can find me on social media on all the outlets, Cover2 Guru. This is brought to you by Hardware Productions, with special thanks to Social Eminence. The voice you heard in the background, that's my man Thao with Social Eminence marketing and branding, and has been part of the Cover2 team. Again, Rod, we want to thank you, man. Appreciate you coming on, and we got to do this again.
Yeah,
for sure.
We'll definitely. You just let me know when. I'll be right here.
We're gonna have to pick your brain on some of these zone pressures.
Oh, man, I got I got quite a few.
Okay.
I got all my Steeler stuff. I got all my Raiders stuff when I was coaching and when I played. I got my 49er stuff. I got all of them.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
All right,
Well, have
brother.
a great day, man. And
You too now.
we'll be in touch, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
We got this
All right,
thing
little
where
Jim. All right, little Hardy.
All right,
when
Rod.
we leave, it's like we're in a huddle. We say ready and we just break. So ready, break.
Great. There we go.